Welcome to this video. Thanks so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment. This video is going to just be a flow from my higher guidance team, just kind of about the energies that we're all experiencing right now. And we'll see where else this goes. So if you haven't seen these videos before, welcome. And welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. When I go into flow, I just kind of open up to what some of the messages that are coming through from my universal and beyond team of guides and higher versions of myself and all of that, all the things that we all have access to be able to tap into. And I just kind of allow those messages to come through to share with you guys. So thanks for listening and feeling and experiencing this with me. Whew. Meshuku. So we're going to do some light language. Meshuku wa nene ku maha shini wa eti ku aha e shini ki wa eti maha ku nini u shini ne aha kuni wa eti ti shi kini wa eti maha ku ne ti ti shi kai ane he wa a uku e shini ki ba ai na te ki nu shu u yaha ini wi a ungu nua. Kuni wa e titi a hi ka u shene ku a e titi a moku I enehe I a hu u shini a e te e kunu u aha e shi u e titi a nuku e he shi ewa. And many of us are having the language of our ancestors pour through right now. We are feeling and experiencing this oneness, this unique oneness that many of us have not necessarily experienced before or are not used to experiencing, or are potentially gaining momentum perhaps in their experiences of connecting in with these vast parts of ourselves. For our ancestors are really just a fractal of the unification of the oneness that we are all connected through. And so we are at this now moment connecting through many different layers, if you will, of our ancestral connections, connection points, we might call them. And so the language that we were speaking just a moment ago provides access to shuku ye e shini ku maha et I shini ki ma et I shi ku ni wa et I shini ma wa ki ai shu shu ne ku ha et I shte ne ku ni wa et e mak u ni wishi ya et ki ma I ku ni wa ha shi nuku ye ti han ki shun, a language that has not been spoken perhaps in quite some time, and yet here it is now spoken in this time. I'm seeing a timestamp, and this brings it into this time, for we are each a lineage or a carrier of ancestral codes and memories that essentially allow us to remember those memories. And when we remember those memories, we lock them into our current trajectory. And so while we are going through these momentous upgrades, as you might call it, or momentous occasions where we are celebrating the remembrance of that which has been lost from one perspective, or that which has been forgotten or buried over from another perspective. I'm seeing buried under, but I'm also seeing buried over, like there's a play on words with that. We begin to access another harmonic component that was not necessarily able to be transcribed before. So I'm seeing a guitar string that had been tangled up, so it couldn't be played. But now the string is now untangled, and now we can hear through our instruments and be the instruments, and it's instrumental in our work moving forward. And while I am sharing these codes, or while we are connecting into these codes, there are a myriad of transmissions that are pouring through this newly accessed potential, this newly accessed portal, this newly accessed potential to access this portal. And so while this information streams through, we must figure out ways to send it to you through these access points. And how will you then interpret those signals? Carrie, me, myself, and I, we are transmitting and transcribing these signals in the best way that we can, which is through thought, sound, picture. I'm just hearing words. I'm utilizing all of my resources right now because I'm hearing this, I'm seeing it, I'm feeling it. I'm having memories associated with what I'm sharing, and I'm doing my best to then express that through words. And yet the words are not the only expression of this sound. This guitar string that we speak of, or the carrier of sound, has a frequency. And so the frequency behind the sound is also relevant, has a relevancy, one might say, that allows us to feel clearly what it is that we are trying to convey. So many of us are opening up to these codes and these potentials, and yet there are many who are wary, we might say, or unsure of what they are tuning into exactly. They are not sure what their next steps need to be, or where they need to take their next steps, because this can be a bit overwhelming at times. For those of you who have not taken this path before, and yet the ironic part is we have all taken this path before, in a different format, in a different form, in a different formatting segment in time or beyond time, or a different part of the whole. And in that moment, we may have expressed ourselves in a different way. Okay, I'm being guided to stop and just explain that for a second. So let's say that I'm expressing myself as Carrie in this particular technology or my skin suit with the language that I know to speak. I'm allowing words come through me, from other variations of me, as multidimensionality, a multidimensionality. I'm hearing multidimensional personality. So I have been a shaman in the past life. I have been a healer. I've been a mother. I've been a father. I've been many different things, or fulfilled many different roles, one might call it. So I have all of those bits, pieces of information, memories that I have access to, should I choose to access them. And when we have these alignments going on with the portals, meaning the solstice, meaning the solar activity creates this, because it carries this plasma band with it as these filaments erupt off the sun, and it just rains upon our earth, and it mixes. It's like mixing all the ingredients come together, and it enhances our recipe. And so the recipe tastes different, it looks different, we respond differently. So the way that I'm interacting with it might be different than someone else, and the way that I'm presenting this information or transcribing it may be very different than how I may have transcribed it in Lemuria, for example. I'm just using that as an example, or wherever, another version of Earth, on Venus, in a past life, right? Or on Sirius, whatever it might be. All I'm being guided to show is that we're so multidimensional. And so how we interpret it and how we share it is going to be different in this go round, essentially. And being guided to share it, that's a beautiful thing, because we're creating what I'm hearing. So let me go back into that flow. It is a beautiful thing, for we are creating from this string quartet, if you will, this particular etymology. I don't know if that's really a word. Sometimes I make up my own words. Etymology. The human is capable of a deep interwoven interaction with all aspects of the human existence. And the human existence is the DNA replica, one might say, that is replicated or ooh, I'm mixing all these words together. So I'm seeing like a vat of where you put a recipe, right? And it has all of these ingredients in it that bind together in a particular order, in a particular harmonic, in a particular grouping. And this particular set of information is then accessed based on the set that we are wishing to play. And this has to do with the quartet. Like we're putting a band together, right? And we're playing this music, but I'm playing jazz and another version of me might have been playing something else. So it sounds different, it feels different. And I'm being called, for those of you who are activating whatever it is you've got going on right now, all right, I'm being called to say what some examples are. Dreams are coming true. Light language is coming through. Songs that you didn't even know that you could sing are coming through. Your body wants to move in certain ways. You feel called to go to a particular part of the world that you've never been interested in traveling before. You don't want to go anywhere. You want to stay right where you are and connect with the land where you are. There's people you wish to connect with. There's people that are coming to you out of the woodwork that want to connect with you, right? So all of these things are happening to many of us. And for some, this is unusual. For others, it's the norm from one perspective. But what I'm being shown is not to get lost in the translation. I've talked about this before. Not to get lost in how it needs to look, how it needs to be organized, why it's happening. Really just to focus on allowing. And I'm also being guided to say that we don't have to share it with everyone. Sometimes it's just for us. I'm getting goosebumps on that. So don't feel that you have to go out and tell the world I'm speaking light language. There are still people on earth who want nothing to do with light language, who are frightened by it, who are confused by it, or who find it amusing because laughter is what they bring up when they're uncomfortable with something. People make fun of things when they are uncomfortable with it. And this turns into the human judgment. So for those of you just coming online with some of these little gifts or not so little gifts, awesome. Don't feel like you have to put it out there. However, some of you are really called to do that. And if that's the case, then so be it. So just because someone else is, though, like myself, does not mean that this is exactly what you need to do in order to express yourself. Sometimes it's the personal expression that then ripples through in the workplace, in the environment that you're in. Let's say you're a CEO of a company and you're starting to speak light language. You may not feel called to sit down at a board meeting and start speaking light language to all of your counterparts or colleagues. However, there may be a group of individuals, a best friend or someone that comes out to you and says, I have this weird stuff going on. And through synchronicity, and by paying attention and being aware of that, not being in fear, synchronicity will draw us together. It will draw us on the right path. And so again, patience is the other word that's coming through with some of this. Because not all humans are choosing the same experience. Therefore, not all humans will choose to speak or sound like you might. And they may not like the way you speak or sound like, for they are in their own process, which may involve fear or judgment or denial. And all of those things, though that is their right to hold on to that, should they choose to, even though it may help them move through that fear if they were to come into a place of acceptance of their fellow brothers and sisters. So recognizing where everyone is at and not denying where you are at on your path just because not everyone else is at where you are. So this works both ways, right? I see people getting judgy about those that aren't awake, aren't aware, and that doesn't work. It hasn't been working. It will not work We are here to work with what we have. And I was just explaining to someone that our field, our energy, when we're in this place of expression, we want to be able to express ourselves where it feels good to express ourselves. And so when we're just coming online, there are going to be people that automatically do not validate what your experience is. And that's why I started doing this channel. So if you feel called to start a channel, go for it. But if you feel like you just want to express yourself, it might just be to one friend. Whatever works for you, express yourself is what the message that's coming in. But recognize a lot of people are going through this. This is not just a small amount. I have goosebumps everywhere. You guys, this is a massive shift in energy, and people that you did not think were ever going to start being interested in meditation, for example, are going to be coming out of the woodwork. I'm seeing it happen, and I'm feeling this next unfoldment of this awakening journey. So this message is multi faceted. Number one, not alone. A lot of people are going through this. Number two, not everybody's going through this. It's an individual experience. Number three, I won't keep numbering them, but in addition to, people are looking for other people to connect with about this because maybe they haven't gone through it before, maybe you have. And that's where we can all help each other and bridge this over. Letting go of others. There are people who are inevitably going to, what's the right word? Not validate our experience. They're going to say, you're crazy. They're going to say, well, you're weird, whatever it might be. Right. And many of us watching this are like, story of my life. I know for me, that's kind of been a thing that I've been dealing with for quite some time, but now it's very, everywhere I've been going lately, I'm having these incredibly broad and expansive conversations with people that you would never even guess. And I'm recognizing it. And that's something else that the message is recognize that. Because you guys, this is awesome. This is a big shift. And so try not to get weighed down by those who are dense. But also not get weighed down by our own judgments about those that are dense. And I'm not saying that in a hierarchy or a mean way. When we're dense, sometimes density, when we hold a lot of things, that can be a good thing, you know? It's full of something. But the density I'm referring to in this particular message is heaviness, baggage, judgment, being stuck to one particular story, no matter what that story is. That story can be about the truth. That story can be about something that's been false for years, whatever it might be. Whenever we're too attached to a particular story, anytime that story shifts, it's going to throw us off guard. That's not the right word. It's going to throw us, if we're not neutralized about it. Okay, balanced. Yeah. If we're not able to balance that, we go into a place of lower frequencies or vibrations, we could say. So there are many messages in this message, and many of the different things that are happening in the collective are many. And so there is not just one particular thing in this particular transmission that we'd necessarily like to dissect and go into. However, we will talk briefly about the energies around the sun. The charge that is coming in from the energies around the sun. And we say around the sun, for all is connected. As one pops off, so too does another thing. It is a domino effect, one might call it. And that is exactly what is happening in your world and reality. And so while many versions of, so it's almost like I'm seeing the dominoes have already, if I look back, those dominoes are already down because we're here. So why keep looking back to see where the dominoes started? In some ways, we're just kind of rolling with it, right? The sun is circulating a frequency, and this circulation is being felt within the collective. Things are heating up, one might say. And as we too heat up, our excitement heats up, our anger and frustration can also heat up. And so we may find ourselves being more aware of many heated conversations and topics. And yet this is all bubbling to the surface so that it can be addressed and laid to rest. For as we allow this energy to rip through us, RIP, rest in peace, it allows us to create a ripple and an impact zone that moves out so much farther than we could have ever potentially seen. And this is something that is being seen in the realms beyond that which it is that we have the human potential to see. And so when we have this large of an impact on the structure of reality, we must begin to restructure our reality to accommodate the vastness of this surge of energy so that the ripple effect or the charge doesn't blow through like a loose cannon. And we're playing with these words for a moment. So let us drop in just a minute so that we can create another cannon. It's a play on words. We are harnessing the frequencies in different ways. So for example, when the sun comes in and we are activated, some of us feel like we have to go for a run. Other people do yoga. Some people feel like they need to sleep. All of these different reactions to the sun are individual, and they're meant to create a certain reaction. They're meant to hold a particular charge or energy surge that each individual has a unique compensation for. For as this comes through, the song that is sung from this particular discourse or this energy that is charging through or pouring through will be sung in different variations among the human templates. We say templates for as these plates spin, we begin to change the direction and hold a frequency from within that ripples out to the universe with a stronger sound. And this is a little confusing, so let's go into a little bit more of a linear presentation on this. So I'm seeing a sun and I'm hearing sun chimes, and I'm seeing a clock, and I'm seeing that when it chimes, a release happens. A release spits out this energy at particular moments that are lined up with the planetary configurations as well as the Earth's vibration. And yet we are intrinsically connected with the Earth's vibration. So it's all a chorus that is communicating through this soundometry that then signals to the body, because I look at the earth and the sun and us, we're all held and encapsulated within this body, right, of energy, which we could call the body of God or whatever we want to label it as. But let's just say it's all connected through this plasmatic soup. And it signals that we're ready for more. I talked about this in a previous video. Okay, so the energy pours through and stimulates the neurons in the brain. The synapses fire, and the synapses begin to reach out. And I'm hearing reach out, touch faith. So they begin to reach out and grow. And as we grow, as the earth grows, it's together. It's like we can't have one without the other in this particular reality. Or it's just not happening that way. I don't know that we can't, but I'm hearing, but why wouldn't we? We came here to have this interaction with the earth for a reason. So it's like something is the neurons are firing, the synapses are growing, they're expanding out, they're branching out, and they're literally creating a song, a sonnet that weaves with these plasma rays in such a way that it creates or harnesses a frequency of energy that is so stimulating that it enhances the human technology in such a way that the human technology enhances the Earth's technology, and then the Earth enhances the human technology. It's like this, I'm going to help you. No, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. It's this weaving together. And this is how what's happening in the human collective as well. The brain then creates a fuse. This fusion then creates a wire. I don't know, I'm just saying what's coming through. We use the word wire because the wire is an electrical component, or it carries things along with it. It creates a signal. The wire, though, is a more sturdy type of element. And so the wire then carries things along it that other things can use to strengthen, to hang on to follow. And this then creates a bond. This bonding occurs within the synapsual components of the archaeology of the body. And this stabilizes all right, so I'm seeing, this is a very challenging one for me to share. I'm seeing another body, almost like we're creating this. I'll have to come back to that. It's a weird one. It's difficult to convey because our current technology doesn't look this way. It doesn't look for these things. It thinks that we need to create something. Okay, I'm seeing it's a holographic overlay. So maybe I'll draw it. Give it a try. This is a weird one, you guys, but you know my fabulous artwork if you've watched my videos before. So bad my video doesn't even want to show it. There it is. So this is the body, obviously, sending out these signals, and here's this like plasma overlay. And what's happening is this plasma is merging with the body, and it's got codes that are in it, and we're sending out codes, and it's bringing codes in. And what I'm hearing is it's morphing into new technology. And so it's almost like this is a holographic, what I called it the other day was a holodex, like a codex of information and a hologram. So this holographic codex is almost like it's being activated. And I'm sure there's some sci-fi movie that could show what I'm seeing, or they've already talked about it. But that holographic index starts to, it's like 3D printing, I guess. I've never seen a 3D printer, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. It's like we're 3D printing, but it's 5D printing and beyond. It's multidimensionality. And it's allowing us to create our new reality, would be the easiest way to say it. But there's also something about our human technology upgrades that are being enhanced right now. It's like when you eat foods that are better for you, and you feel better. Well, we've got energy that's coming in that are those foods, for example. And so we're able to then shift faster, think faster, download information faster, upload information from the earth faster. And it's not even about speed per se. It's almost like we're getting packets. Those packets are then forming shapes in our field. And those shapes or geometries are then merging, right? We're not just this skin. There is a light body around us. And this light body there's a Merkaba that we have access to, all of these things. So all of these things are basically turning on, and we're communicating with them. And it creates a surge of full body activations. I didn't even get into the Kundalini yet. So it can make us feel like we're not even the same person, because from another perspective, that holographic morphing that's happening, it's like we're evolving in real time and we're aware of it. It's like we're having a surgery and we're aware that someone's operating on us, would be another way of looking at it. And so this has a massive impact zone, and this impact zone carries out a charge that has a ripple effect that charges the entire galaxy, universe, multiverse. Everything is quantumly entangled. So that's why it's very helpful if we can stay as neutral as possible, and yet be aware that not everybody else is going to be able to maintain that neutrality. We may not be able to at all times either, but enough of us are that we're assisting everyone in balancing out their energetics, but also restoring these templates that weren't able to be restored before. And I'm being shown that tangled guitar string. So if you had this entangled guitar string, you could never hit all the notes on the guitar, even though the strings were there. And I think this has reference to the DNA also. So now it's been untangled and we're able to play those notes more regularly for longer periods of time. And this allows those codes that have been hanging out in our field to start to drop in. And I'm hearing sync in, sync up. So let's talk about those codes a little bit. So when I say that, I'm just trying to stay in flow about this. I'm seeing all kinds of pictures. So I'm going to give an example. Even in this video, I'm accessing information in real time a little differently than how I'm used to accessing it. So my vision has turned on much more than it was before, if that makes sense. So now when I am viewing the multiverse, I'm seeing a lot more. It's difficult to translate it into English, but I'm doing the best I can, and I'm also trying to utilize these other broader aspects of myself in order to do that. And as maybe, let's say, an Arcturian or a Lumerian, I might have been able to just, boom, here you go, here's the code. But as Carrie Human, it has to be explained in a different way, because we don't necessarily hold the consciousness at a particular vibration or a particular level in order to understand the transmissions that are being offered. But simultaneously, the codes are coming in to help us to better understand what's being offered. So being patient with that is important. And I'm being even patient with myself as I share this channeled message, because it's a good example of, we might feel confused, or how do I interpret this information? So I'm doing the best I can to interpret the information. And so I'm essentially seeing these codes drop in, and the codes are light. They have color, and they are, I don't know how to explain it, but they're all around us. And they've been all around us, but they've been held back, we could say. And now they're not being held back anymore. The tangle has been untangled, the knot has been undone, and it's allowing this surge to come through and charge up all of the, well, I'm seeing the keys on the piano, and the keys that have been slightly out of key, off tune, we're beginning to go, oh, wait a minute, this feels right. This tune feels good. I feel something that I didn't feel before. I smell something I didn't smell before. I'm hearing things and they're sharp, whereas I didn't before. And this is another reason why the guidance team is saying be patient, because this can make people feel on edge. It can make people feel like there's something wrong with them, or it can make people feel a lot of different things. So they may not be patient with themselves, and then they project their feelings of impatience or frustration or fear or whatever it might be onto us. And this is where, you guys, we've been prepping for this, most of us. So I'm just seeing us get grounded. It isn't just about us getting grounded and anchoring this energy. It's about us exchanging codes with the earth too. And that's been another huge subject. So I'll get into that a little bit later. So I hope that wasn't as confusing as I think it might have been. And I'm going to do a follow-up video to this and see if I can break it down a little bit more linear for those who are just kind of in that space of what is she talking about right now? In love and light, guys. Namaste.